Five, four, three, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, Panthers Nation? Let's make sure. Yeah, we're good. We got the mic working. We got everything rolling here. Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. I have to tell you, when we were coming into this episode tonight, as we do after every Carolina Panthers game, we go live. We're not going to go live after Monday Night Football, folks. Just too much going on there. It's going to be a long night. Should the Panthers hopefully be able to maintain and remain on Monday Night Football, we'll find out as the season goes along. But I got to tell you, man, a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions. Let's turn this background music off. Appreciate y'all in the chat. As always, you guys know I will get to the chat after we do the monologue. Then we'll catch up on all the comments with how you guys are doing. How are you feeling coming out of this week 2 loss for the Carolina Panthers? We'll get into the box score. We'll talk about the storylines. We cover it all. Hope you are here. Hope you're buckled up and you're ready to go. Man, first of all, if you are here and you are listening somewhere outside of YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to us. And folks, if you are not on YouTube, you'll follow me elsewhere, X, Facebook, whatever it is. Know that you can also get the podcast on Apple, Spotify. We have the video form of the podcast on Spotify, so we'll continue to ask folks to follow and support. Numbers are looking fantastic. Not so much like the Carolina Panthers in the first half, but the podcast numbers keep ticking up, which is much appreciated. Now, my only hope is that the Carolina Panthers can find their groove, because the more successful they are, the more folks want to tune in. The worst thing that can happen is for the Carolina Panthers to just naturally fall off. It's too early in the season to get into that, man. And I hope, as we sit here, we're going to break down the game like we always do. We're going to give our reactions. But we are sitting here hoping and praying that JJ McCarthy can figure it out for the Minnesota Vikings and that we can have the Atlanta Falcons coming into this game at 0-2. I'm not as concerned about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay, man. But the potential to have the Atlanta Falcons 0-2 along with us, big opportunity for the Carolina Panthers. First home game of the season. Trying to figure it out. And figure it out is what we are also trying to do as we sit here. There is good at the end of the game. We're going to get into the drive charts. We're going to talk about a lot of the positives. There's some not so good. And the not so good is not only the performances that we saw from certain players on this team, but it's also some of the injury news that's coming down the pipeline. We'll get official injury reports tomorrow. I should rephrase that. We'll get official injury updates. Injury reports come out on Wednesday, but Dave Canales will be able to tell us the status. And primarily, we're looking at Robert Hunt. Doesn't sound promising with the bicep. And then Austin Corbett with the knee. Man, you, for part of the fan base that, number one, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. But I do know, as I dive into the world of Carolina Panthers and stay in tune with folks, I like to know what other people think. And I know there's a portion of folks out there that maybe weren't pleased that we brought back Austin Corbett, maybe weren't pleased that he was the starter over Cade Mays. We're concerned about injuries. And sure enough, here we are. Now, we're not going to speculate. Again, we'll know. It's hard to know, though. You just where we sit right now. That concerns me. It does. Cade Mays, I think Cade Mays would be fine. He showed it last year. That's where when Bryce Young had most of his success was when Cade Mays was in there because Austin Corbett missed significant time. Also, having Robert Hunt out, not a good thing by far. You're going to be throwing in Chandler Zavala, who was kind of thrown into the fire tonight. Maybe a week of practice, a chance to get it, but there's a reason that you paid Robert Hunt the amount of money that you did. We saw what happened when Bryce Young had pressure in his face. And it wasn't, part of it was pressure that was allowed, poor blocking. But it was also some really good schemes, and we just didn't have an answer for it. I will tell you, you let the dust settle on this stuff. You come out of the first half, you are just ticked off. Not even the first half. We're talking really like the first possession for the Panthers. You just are like, why us? Why does this continue to happen to the football team that I follow? But as if that is not enough, you have the fumble return that results in a touchdown, just Bryce Young not holding on to the ball, pressure in his face. You follow that up with a disappointing interception. And I hate to say it, it's cliche, but you can't turn the ball over. You cannot turn the ball over in the NFL. You can't spot another team 10 points. You can't. Now, Carolina Panthers battled back. They put in the effort, and I know folks are probably, Dave Canales proud of the effort. But man, it just hurts because now there were some lapses on the defensive side of the ball, which is to be expected because guess what? The team is who it is. We're not going to just pull in linebackers off the street at this point. We're not going to be able, we could bring in some safety help, but that's not really, I know there's a rotation going through there, but Nick Scott is still going to be Nick Scott. Christian Roseboom is still going to be Christian Roseboom. Trevin Wallace is still going to be Trevin Wallace. However, secondary between Mike Jackson, I know he had a few mistakes, but Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, all right. Defensive front, edge rushers, got some pressure, made some plays, stopped the run. There's a lot of positives that come out of this. It's a difficult hole to get out of when you put yourself down like that. You think back to the Carolina Panthers in the first half, fumble, interception, field goal, punt, another punt, and then that was the end of the half. remove the thought of the turnovers. Like the turnovers were the turnovers, and I'm not going to bypass them. Like we'll continue to talk about them because that's what we do. But thinking specifically back to a few instances for the Panthers and really just some mismanagement from their side. So you think back, it was second quarter, had the ball for about 4 minutes. It was 7 plays, 41-yard drive. And you go back and you're roughly around midfield. And you heard the broadcast kind of talking through this, but you're roughly around midfield. Play clock is ticking down. Dave Canales chooses not to take a timeout there. That was a crucial moment. And I mean, maybe he's just got, maybe he was friends with Roy Williams for all my Carolina basketball fans. And he just likes to take his timeouts into the half, doesn't care about calling a timeout. There are some instances where you as the head coach have to help your team. You have to help your quarterback. You have to help folks. Arizona, not necessarily a hostile environment. I mean, it's wild to see how many of their fans left once they got up big, but it was loud. Like, I think that was the reason they were going on the silent count. That was the reason, if you listen to the broadcast, well, not necessarily the broadcast, but the Carolina Panthers radio station, play-by-play, they were talking through. And even towards the end, Jake Delhomme was not a fan of them going, and Jordan Gross, I think, was on there as well. I can't remember, as I was bouncing between what I was listening to on the broadcast as well as what we heard on the radio. But talking through the potential of just getting an actual snap in, or calling the snap, like actually calling it out, especially towards the end of the game. Anyways, I say that because the delay of game that comes from that puts the Panthers in a not ideal situation on third down. So they go, and we do remember the broadcast talking about the fact that it was like a 4-man rush, and Bryce is just like fast to get the ball out as quickly as he can when he had a little bit of time, or should have had more time. The yardage that was gained was maybe like 5 or 6 yards. I don't have it off the top of my head, but maybe 5 or 6 yards. Now, if the Panthers had been in the previous position that they were, there's maybe a chance that you're talking field goal, maybe a chance that you're talking go for it. But the Panthers end up deciding to go with the punt in that situation. I feel like that was an opportunity for some points. Didn't come away with any, so that hurts yourself. The lead gets bigger. So maybe at the most you're putting 3 points on there. That matters, as you could see down the stretch. So I chalk that up as one opportunity missed. Second opportunity was not on the Carolina Panthers by way of what they did or didn't do. I'm going back, and I posted it on X. I do not know how, when you watch the catch by JT Sanders, I don't know how you overturn it. And there was only one angle that we got to see. So unless somewhere out there there's this hidden angle, I don't know what it is with the Carolina Panthers not getting all the angles. Thinking back to the Adam Thielen catch last year that was overturned, taken out, is not a touchdown. He gets 2 hands under it. He moves, he catches it, and then kind of regrips. The ball does graze the ground from what we can tell, but to say that it aided and that was enough, and that from the angle that you saw it, that there was enough to overturn, that was a dagger. That was huge, because worst case scenario for the Panthers, they get a first down there. They still have possession of the ball. I don't even care, because they were backed up. I'm not even worried about them going down and scoring at that point. But to be able to maintain the score where it is and give yourself a chance for your defense to come out, instead, it's just worst of worst case scenarios for the Carolina Panthers. Following that, you have the punt with a really good return. Special teams not great on that series. That specific play sets up the Cardinals, and in your mind, okay, well, if we can give up 3 points, that's a win. Cardinals, very effective moving the ball, end up turning it into, and I mean, they were doing what they had to do, driving right down, scoring a touchdown. And I mean, if the breath wasn't already knocked out of the Carolina Panthers, it was getting close at that point. I was listening to the post game, some of the post game commentary. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing on the Panthers radio network, but we did get to listen to a little bit. Shout out to Modern Rock 98.7 here in Wilmington, carrying that for us as we're driving around doing our evening errands post game. I hate 4 o'clock kickoffs. Cannot stand a 4 o'clock kickoff. But anyways, I got to listen to it because of that. Because we were driving around, and they discussed Ejiro Evero giving a speech to the players at halftime. And like I said, overall, you have to feel pretty good about the performance. It's not perfect, and I don't think it's going to be perfect. And the Carolina Panthers don't have all the pieces for it to be. So if your expectation is that we're going to come out and put out the 2015 defense, 2003 defense, whatever defense that's like, oh, one of the best, it's not there. You don't have the personnel, and it's not just going to grow, and it's not going to develop in one season. However, expectations are that it should get better, it should continue to improve, and they should be put in position to make some plays. And that's what they did. You go back to the interception, resulted in points. You look at the pressure that was gained and the rushing yards allowed. Now, we have some issues on the Carolina Panthers side when it comes to our rushing attack. But when you think about this performance and the hole that they were backed into, being able to get the 3 and out, or force a punt to get the ball back, to drive down, to score, a lot of positive, in my opinion, from this performance that we saw today. And it was, I believe, DJ William in the post game on Panthers radio also talking through that and them looking to build. Now, no moral victories at all. And I don't chalk this up as a moral victory. Am I happy that the Carolina Panthers put forth effort, that they fought, that they didn't give up? Like, yes, absolutely. But 0-2 is 0-2, and the hole of being an 0-2 is a difficult hole to climb out of. And it's not just me making it up. It is hard to go from 0-2 and make the playoffs. There are cases where you can do it, but the odds are slim. It's just natural. You're going to look back on this, like if the Carolina Panthers do figure it out, and if they're on the cusp at the end of the year, which right now I don't know that we could say that they're going to be, but you do look back at some of these games, and it's just like they're beating themselves. As a Panthers fan, I think all we want to see is that we come out in the next game against the Falcons, and I hope multiple games because it can't just be one, and we don't beat ourselves. Like, point blank, this team is just not giving themselves an opportunity. And Canales did talk about some of that, some of the bright spots, practicing well, seeing glimpses of who this team can be. I mean, folks, you go back, you look at the first half, the recap, and I posted this as well. So they had a fumble, the interception, then they settled for the field goal, then they had 2 punts, and then it was the end of the half. So they've really had 5 possessions in the first half, 5 possessions, 3 points. They also gave away 10 points just from the offense itself. 10 points off of turnovers. The fumble, touchdown, the interception. It's not a recipe for success. You flip it on into the second half. Now, I was one of the ones, I'll stand up, raise my hand, when the momentum started to build, and I don't even think you could call it momentum when it originally happened, but when Carolina got on the board, scored their first touchdown, like, okay, it's garbage time. Maybe something's going to happen. Probably not. They had 4 possessions in the second half. 3 of those were touchdowns. The first 3 possessions, touchdowns. Final one was, of course, the turnover on downs. They showed us some stuff. And I think for folks that are, here's what I'll say, and I mean, like, as we were going through the motions of as this stuff unfolded, as we all were, I think it's very easy. It's like, I like to, you guys know this, I like to think of this from 2 different angles because I know there's folks who see it one way and the other way, and it's good to have multiple viewpoints. But I think, like, it's definitive that Bryce Young has some stuff. But on the flip side, it's also understanding that, yeah, Bryce Young makes some mistakes. He's putting himself in a bad position for some of these things. We have to see him get to better consistency of the medium version of himself, and hopefully from there. Folks, he threw for a career high today. There's some of these storylines that are buttoned in there, and I get it. It's prevent defense. It's this, whatever the excuse is, I'm fine. Like, you take whatever excuse of how he performed and run with it. There are a lot of glimpses and a lot of positive that comes from that. What I can't tell you and what I can't convince you of is that they're just going to figure it out, that they're going to flip the switch, that they're going to put these pieces together, and they're going to look like a football team, because we haven't. This is the story of the Bryce Young era in Carolina. Very shaky, rough, but he's starting to get it. We just need to see him get it a little bit earlier. And I do have to put some of this back on Dave Canales and the play calling and scheme and protection. It wasn't great. Offensive line, you got to do your job. So that's how we see it. And we're going to get into some of the not so good, even more not so good in a little bit. But, you let it simmer in, man. It's nothing I can say, too, if you're a Panthers fan, is going to make you feel better coming out of a loss like this. It's just not. A loss is a loss. 0-2 is 0-2. Nothing you can do can change coming out of that. And that was a moment, man. There was a moment, at least, where you're like, oh my gosh, can this happen? Can the Carolina Panthers pull this thing off? You think about the odds of getting an onside kick, which is what, 3, 7, 8%. I looked, and I saw it's varied year over year. It's gone down significantly now, because I think in years past where you may have had a little more success, because you could, you didn't have to call it because everyone was lined up at the front. So you probably could sneak 1 or 2 in. Maybe that helps the success of the onside kick. But now you have to call it. People know it's coming. The fact that the Panthers got that and had a significant amount of time, it does frustrate me. It really frustrates me that they couldn't figure it out. It's like they panicked and thought, okay, we have to score now. Let's take some deep shots. And I understand the rotation on the offensive line didn't put them in position, but you have to find a way. You just do. And even if you don't find a way, you got to get it to your playmaker. You have to find a way to get Tetairoa McMillan, as we talk about some of the good and the really good. You got to get T-Mac the ball in that situation, at least an opportunity. Throw it up. Let him have a chance somewhere. Just give him a shot. But the Panthers, they got scapegoated a little bit too with some of these penalties that came up, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. Like, you're not going to get a complaint about me on that one by any stretch. But you add all these things together, it's another disappointing loss. And it's another one of those games where we just look back and you chalk it up to the Green Bay performance of his rookie year. You chalk it up to some of the losses last year, to Kansas City, to the Eagles. It's like, oh man, we're great in what ifs, and almost, those things do not count. So where do you go from here? Hard to tell. One of the things we can talk about, oh boy, this is a story, and it's a storyline. I don't know, honestly, what else to say about this, but I brought it up last week. I said it was going to continue to be a topic. We're another week into this season. Things are not getting better. Things are getting much worse. And now we have a lot of questions. Xavier Legette, XL. I don't know who posted this, but somebody tweeted out they're not going to call him XL anymore. They're going to call him XS, extra small. And I have to agree. I just don't get it. And someone else tweeted this out too. They said, I've never seen a player as fast as him that's also so slow. It was on one of the rush attempts. The Panthers tried to get him involved. They tried to find ways to feed him the ball. He had 8 targets on the day. He also had, let's see, was it one? Yeah, one carry. One carry for 0 yards, 8 targets, 1 reception, -2 yards. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm really not asking for a lot when we talk about XL. Please, I'm not. I'm in the realm of, can we get 40 yards? Can we get 50? Maybe 50 is too much. Can we get 4, 5 receptions? Can you be reliable? Can you make a play when you have T-Mac getting doubled? Cornerback and safety help? It is very much trending in the world of being a bust. And I hate it because I want him to be successful. But there's only so many more ways that you can feed him. And the problem that you're going to have is there are other guys, as we have seen, that are now taking a step forward. You look at the performance of Hunter Renfrow this week, a guy that there were some plays where you thought, oh, man, I bet Adam Thielen could make that play, or I bet Jalen Coker would have made that play. But he came down with some nice catches. He finished with 7 for 48 and 2 touchdowns. Why can't we get half of that with XL? Can I get, again, 3 or 4 catches, 35, 40 yards? I'm going to even take my number down. 1 touchdown. It is just, I don't have words. I really don't. I hope there's something that goes off, but I got to tell you, the door, the window, whatever you want to call it, is closing. And the opportunity is going to start to fizzle out because Hunter Renfrow looking good, coming into his own. Not perfect, but there. T-Mac is 100% your number one target. I mean, 100 yards, 6 catches, 100 yards. At the 40-yard was his longest. He's a player. We talked and we heard a lot about Bryce and Tremaine. Not some great plays there, and as they're struggling down towards the end. And I think Bryce Young just trying to figure something out, which that is what it is. 3 catches for 48 yards. I don't know. It is baffling. I've lost all the words because I support him 110%. But naturally, if I am analyzing this, and I don't care how much you're doing in practice, and I don't care how much you're excelling in there, you got to start to figure out how to do it in the game. Because what's going to happen now, you're going to have Hunter Renfrow. Bryce Young's going to start trusting him a little bit more. He already trusts Tetairoa McMillan. He's going to see that Bryce and Tremaine, who's out there, is making a few plays as well. Not to mention you're going to have Jalen Coker eventually coming back. Naturally, like, where does XL fit in if he continues to drop down? Now, I know position-wise, still out there or an opportunity to get on the field, but it's not great. On top of that, you have JT Sanders, 7 receptions, 54 yards. And then Tommy Tremble with 3 for 20. And, you mix up the backs a little bit between Dowdle and Hubbard. And I don't know what the scoop was as far as the featuring Dowdle a little bit more earlier. Now, overall, Dowdle only finished with 6 carries, 9 yards. Terrible. Chuba Hubbard, 10 for 38. It was not a good day rushing the football at all. Mitchell Evans ended up with 1 catch for 9 yards. Just, I don't know. I don't know where you go with him. I don't know what you do. And it's just not good. Where was it? I was on ESPN Wilmington this past week as we were previewing this, and we were talking through this draft class and the potential for it to be a bust within the first 3 picks. And there are a lot of key positions, and people will go back and point to them. Hindsight, always going to be 2020. Number one, you look at XL, you look at who else was available. There were other guys. There were better players on paper. They went with the raw upside. They went with the local kid, the ties, all that. That's fine. But XL in the first round, not looking great. Jonathan Brooks, I mean, you can't really, there's nothing to evaluate right now, but you do then flip your hat to, hey, there's a starting center that could have been there, a cornerback, there's other key pieces that this team could have built off of, but you now have Jonathan Brooks. And then on top of it, I mean, you drafted ETN this year, so I don't know where that's going to pan out with that draft class. And then, of course, we turn our attention to Trevin Wallace. My gosh, I don't know. So a lot of people want to gas up Dan Morgan. I don't know that you can gas that up just yet. A lot of good, I should say, some good. And the thing is, with the Tetairoa McMillan pick, I don't know that you could have gotten that wrong. I mean, like, putting his shoes, like, it feels like just a guaranteed win. So anyways, I don't really have words. I don't know if it's going to get better. I don't know if the Carolina Panthers, as they look at this, maybe decide to try to push him away somewhere. I don't know if that would be the case. I would think they'd want to keep him at least through the season. But you really never know. It's just very frustrating because you think about what could have been if XL was successful. We just need another playmaker or two. I know Mac from Mac and Bone tweeted, we need 2 more T-Macs. I'm like, yeah, we really do. We're not going to find it right now, but like, you drafted a wide receiver last year and it's already, it's bad. Folks, actually, we were talking about this last week's episode when we were going live. It is, I mean, you're talking about T-Mac. He's probably going to pass Xavier Leggett's rookie receiving number. I mean, hard to guesstimate how many games it's going to take him, but I'd probably say by like week 5, 6, not 5, let's say week 6 or 7. I mean, T-Mac is burning it up. He is on now. I'm sure teams are going to start scheming towards him. They're going to make it more difficult because he is the only target right now. When he becomes the primary target, the one playmaker that people are going to focus on, you've got to see some of these other guys step up along the way. I think that's all I can do today on the offensive side of the ball as we do our monologue. We are going to get back into the comments, or get into the comments as well, as we always do. I wanted to see if there was anything else I wanted to discuss before we actually start breaking some of this stuff down in another layer. I will go back to the defense, to the run defense. Hats off to the team. 82 yards on the ground. Coming into this, I thought for sure, and I mean, Kyler Murray had 32. 30 of those came on a scramble. You take away his scramble, if Rose Boom is able to make that play, you're talking about giving up 50 yards, a little over 50 yards on the ground. That is a big-time performance for this team. James Conner with 34 yards, Benson 14, like we said, Kyler Murray 32, but 82 yards on the ground, 32 of those and 30 by one run being for Kyler Murray. I'll take that all day. On the defensive side of the ball as well, Kyler was successful. He found his opportunities. They found the holes in the zone we couldn't cover. It's the story for just who we are. But 17 25, 220, sacked one time, 1 touchdown. Only 1 sack in the box score. But the Carolina Panthers got a lot of pressure back there. He was elusive. He can move around. He's slippery. That's what he does. He's similar to Bryce Young. He's able to get out. He can escape. Those are the things that he can do. You just got to be able to contain him. You got to be able to bring him down or force him into a mistake. So all around, I'll take that performance. And then Trey McBride, 6 for 78, no touchdowns. I know he was pissed off last year after losing to the Panthers and getting knocked out of the playoffs, and that video circulated around. He had a good day. He did. I wish he didn't, but it's just a little disappointing. A whole bunch of what if moments for this team. And to think we got into a lot of what could have been. The fact that we were even here right now talking about it and even seeing it when it unfolded for the Carolina Panthers to potentially have a chance to pull this thing out is unreal, in my opinion, considering where it started. It's wild stuff. Well, positive news before we jump in. Well, it was positive news until I saw the updated score. It was 6-6, but Falcons up 9-6 right now. I really want the Falcons to fall. We need them to take an L. But we are going to jump into the comments that we're going to get into the box score. Appreciate you guys as always. Let's see what we got going on tonight. Jarius, what is going on? He said, they got our hopes up just to let us down. All those missed opportunities. Bryce's fault. Yeah, I don't think they're fully on Bryce. We broke all that down. I know I'm catching up to what you guys said. Actually, I think we can do this too. So we'll pull this up here. Yeah, man, it was frustrating. There's not a lot that you can say coming out of this at all. Tony said, Dave Canales is not a head coach. You know what? It is frustrating to watch some of the stuff unfold that he just hasn't figured out yet. And I don't know if it's because he's so laser focused on being a play caller, on trying to get the play in. That's the other thing, you know what? As we talk about small wins, overall, much better performance getting to the line of scrimmage today. Plenty of time. Like we said, we know there was a bump or two, but overall, I'll take that. And then on top of it, pretty good snaps. I think I tweeted both of these things. I said, hey, pretty good day for the Carolina Panthers when it comes to snaps and getting to the line of scrimmage. And I think there was like a high snap by Austin Corbett shortly after that. So there you have it. Let's keep them rolling here, and we'll get into the box score in just a second. Mr. Hunky Dory, what's going on, man? Bryce Young's week 2. Yeah, 50. That's the other thing. When you get down, it's like basketball. When you get down by so much, you can't really take a lot of twos. So you're just going down, chunking up threes. I mean, the Carolina Panthers had to shift their approach to a passing attack, which they did. 35-55. I feel like, and haven't looked this up. We know this was the most passing yards in Bryce Young's career in a single game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably the most passing attempts as well. But 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, the 90.6 passer rating. Really good day. All things considered, like when you think about how it started and where we got, take it. What's going on, Ryan? Ryan said we gave the Cardinals 10 points, right? You cannot overcome this stuff. You can't, especially in the NFL, man. It's one of those games like when you go between, at least for me, the college game and the NFL. The NFL is very buttoned up. I mean, this is the best of the best, relatively speaking. TBD if that's the Carolina Panthers. I'm joking. I'm joking. But it is the best of the best. And this really is a strategic game in a lot of ways. When you think about the number of possessions that you're going to get, what you get to do with those. Like if I turn on the college game and I see it's 10-0, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's still a lot of football left. They're probably going to let up a big play. Something's going to happen. There's going to be an interception, a lot more mistakes, and a lot of opportunities to take advantage of those. In the NFL, 10 points is a lot to overcome. It is. So burying yourself in, it doesn't help at all. Ryan said, Bryce cannot score in the beginning. He can only score in garbage time. So that is a consistent theme throughout some of this spurt of the Bryce Young era. It is. And I'm still pulling for Bryce. But to your point, you got to figure it out a little bit earlier. And that goes for the whole team. We did see some opportunities today for guys to make some plays, and they did. You wonder what could have been. What if you punt the first drive and the defense kind of settles in, or you give up 3 versus a touchdown? I mean, you factor all those things in. It does make it difficult when you get down. Then once you do get into garbage time, which, I mean, it was for this coming into the second half, it's garbage time. it wasn't truly not garbage time until after the onside kick, in my opinion. Like, because you're still down 2 scores. So they're like, okay, we're going to give up another score, whatever. You're going to kick an onside kick, but you're not going to get it. Of course, the Panthers get it. Yeah, true garbage time. And that's been part of what he's done. Some of his success. Now, he's had success outside of garbage time. However, that's where some of it's come, and people want to see him perform well outside of that. Ryan said, I'm getting tired of Canales as a head coach, tired of the positivity. Just say that they were bad today. I want to upvote that 10 million times and agree with you. So I even posted during the game, I wish I could Venmo Dave Canales $100 to just have him drop an F-bomb or two in the press conference. Have some form of accountability. I know it's not his personality. Maybe he doesn't have to cuss, but my gosh, I just want him to show us a little something, because we can keep talking about Carolina Panthers football and our brand of football and who we want to be and how we want to get there. But come on, man. I really want to see a little bit more. I even go back to his mentor, guy that really brought him up through the NFL, and Pete Carroll. And I can't remember if it was NBC Sports, whoever posted it earlier today about, or it might have been yesterday, Pete Carroll wanting to get the attention of the team he was coaching with the Raiders. You got to think this is the oldest guy in the NFL, also generally considered pretty nice, breaking a whiteboard in a meeting to get those guys, like, get their attention. That's what I want to see, man. Break a whiteboard, throw something, get pissed. I mean, you don't have to take it that far because you are the head coach. You do have to maintain a certain demeanor, but at the same time, we got to see a little bit more. And there is accountability that is out there in the post game by other coaches. We see it every week. Pressers come through. I mean, if you follow on social media for a lot of the other teams, coaches come out there and call players out, call things out. That was not enough. That wasn't good enough. That was not our best. So-and-so, blah, blah, blah. You can't turn the ball over. Like, it is frustrating for fans to sit back and deal with all the positivity. Marco said he agrees with Ryan. Arizona, speaking of the garbage time, Arizona was in a prevent defense. As soon as they stopped the prevent, Bryce could not move the ball. It's very true, because that final drive after they recovered the onside kick, I don't know what wasn't clicking. And I mean, this could be part of it. You're not in that true prevent, but it felt like the Panthers had some shots. I don't know why they tried to hurry and force it. You had 2 minutes, which is a ton of time. You could have settled in, try to put together. I mean, that's the thing. It just felt like they were forcing it, trying to take big shots. Like, you're not going to win the game. Yes, you can win the game on one play, but let's work our way down there methodically. Let's chew down the clock. They got away from it. I agree with that all day. And I said the Colts are 2-0 with Daniel Jones. They gave up on Anthony Richardson, and they've started to win. Yeah, that alone is wild. I did not see, I mean, for context, I have not seen or did not see any of the highlights of that game. It was, they knocked off the Broncos, right? Yeah, 29-28. It's something, man. It is. And I'm not here to say I want Bryce Young benched, but I understand, folks. There's no really where you can go. I don't think Andy Dalton going in is going to change anything. Maybe if you want to reevaluate this whole thing in the offseason, okay. It's still a big year, I think, for Bryce Young. But also, it is very frustrating for fans to continue to see teams find success either with a first-year head coach, a rookie quarterback, or a quarterback that's been here. I'm not one of those that likes to harp on the Baker Mayfield, the Sam Darnold, them bouncing around, them finding what they did. Like, every player went through that. They went through their situations. They got where they got. They did find success, and they're doing well, which is good. I don't know. You think about the Carolina Panthers. I don't know that we're cultivating any type of winning or development at the moment. It's not here. People come here to end their careers. Let's just be real. What we are breeding right now is not good. You can continue to talk positive. You can continue to believe whatever you want to believe internally about who you are. We're not what our record is. At the end of the day, yeah. You don't have pictures. You don't have explanations on your record at the end of the season. You are what you are. The win-loss column determines that. The win-loss column determines whether you make the playoffs. It determines how successful you are viewed. It is a very frustrating thing, and you just, it's a beating a dead horse. And I don't like to stay in that realm because there's a lot of people that do it, and you can do it, and if you want to do it, so be it. But this has been just the most underwhelming crap that we have seen since David Tepper took over this team. I don't get it because I'm not a big soccer guy, but I look at Charlotte FC. He bought, spins them up, settles them into Charlotte, got their new coach, Dean Smith. They've settled in. They're making the playoffs. They're performing well. I'm just like, what? Why can't that be? Are we just cursed as a football city and team that we're never going to just get over the hump? I don't know. It infuriates me with where this team is. Oh, man. Hey, Steve-O, I'm getting to yours. Appreciate the support there. Yes. It's actually a good comment that feeds into that. If the Colts can give up on Anthony Richardson, then the Panthers can give up on Bryce. Accept the mistake. Go get a veteran, a journeyman. No, I'm not here. I still think there's a lot of good left in Bryce, but I will also caveat that with this is it. And if we are analyzing this, and we talked about this past week on ESPN Wilmington as well, when we were previewing the game and just talking about where things are. People know when it comes to me dissecting what I see, there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of ways you can go and just crazy stuff that you can believe if you want to. And people talk and they can make up some wild stuff. But there's also pieces of surface level that I kind of okay, some of this thing makes sense. And where I'm going with this is to talk about quarterbacks and giving up on Bryce Young. As much as Dave Canales, and I'm not saying this is a thing, but as much as Dave Canales has talked highly of Bryce Young and wanting, when he first came here, how much he liked him and saw out of him coming out of college, it is very true that Bryce Young is not Dave Canales' guy. I know Dan Morgan, a part of that, but not Dave Canales' guy. If you are Dave Canales and you are if you are the teacher, the instructor, and you see, and it's not a good analogy because I was about to use that, and I thought about Andy Dalton. But in a way, if you're an instructor, let's say you're a driving instructor, and you continue to see someone that you're training crash the car, you're just okay, I'm going to beat my head against the wall if I have to keep watching this, knowing what else could be out there. It's not apples to apples. But if you think about Dave Canales in his seat, I don't think Dave Canales is on the hot seat. I just don't. I think he does have another year easy. Just me personally. Now, if we go 0-17, we got a whole nother conversation. But I will say, based off of continuing to see potential incremental improvements, he should be around next year. Now, whether you want that to be a good thing or bad thing is up to you. But I think he's still going to be here. But with the caveat of, do we think it's going to be his quarterback that's here next year? We are going to reach a road, because I've said it last week, deciding Bryce Young right now is playing. There we go. Got thumbs up going. With the Mac. This is a big year for Bryce Young, for the Carolina Panthers to decide if they want to pick up the 5th-year option, if they want to pay him a ton of money, if he is the future, if they're going to double down. That's to be decided. But yeah, you're going to reach a tipping point where there is going to have to be a decision. And I even said this, the thing, we talked about quarterbacks last week. because this is just naturally what's going to happen over the course of the season and the course of what we see. I'm not saying I fully agree with it, but the Carolina Panthers, now today better, but not great. The Carolina Panthers, in my opinion, are not a quarterback away from being a really good football team. Meaning if you go out and you draft again, you go through this cycle, which honestly, looking at this quarterback class now, I don't know how good it's really going to be. But you bring in another rookie, I don't know that that's the solution. Where, in my mind, this potentially could go, if we're going to talk ourselves down this path, does Dave Canales want to bring in a more experienced veteran? Yeah, possibly. And when I say bring in more experience, like to compete, or does he want to make it a true competition heading into next season? Again, I'm not at that point yet to where I think that's going to be a thing. But these are the things that are going to churn and burn in the back of our minds as we go through this season and just wait to see how it unfolds. Very valid point. Brick by Brick says, we keep trying new quarterbacks, and where's it led, right? Baker cooking on the Bucs. We did talk about that. How did he look in Carolina? Terrible. We are just a bad franchise. I don't know. I don't know why it happens like that to us. Marcus asks, is Jimmy Horn Jr. hurt? Why has he been active for both games? No, not hurt. So for context, you do have the designated number 48, I believe, and don't have it offhand, but 48 players on your active roster. 48, 47. I didn't look at the inactives in front of me. Actually, you know what? I do have it, so I'll tell you in 1 second. So you have X number of designated inactives, and I actually do have it. So I don't know why I said that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inactives. So yeah, to get to 48 on the game day roster. So Jimmy Horn Jr., Yash, Neisman, Calais Campbell, Mitchell, and Wharton were your inactives today. Now Jimmy Horn, I know a lot of fans are like pumped and hyping him up. I don't know that there's enough here. I mean, I'm not in practice, so it's hard for me to say the Panthers are making a terrible decision not to have him out there. But I don't know. Maybe some of this shifts around. You also think about David Moore getting some reps, but maybe this shifts around a little bit with XL. I don't think they would put XL as inactive. The moment XL goes as a healthy scratch, that's when his days are going to be numbered here, like no doubt. All right, catching up. Steve-O, appreciate the $1.99, said, sell the team, tear it down, and build top off. You know, every year now that I've been doing this, I am closer and closer to just wishing that would be a thing. For the Carolina Panthers to just up and go somewhere else, like just move away and then give us a chance to just pick any team that we want because it's a reset. I'm not going to bail on the team because they're still here, but I am with you, man. That's where we are. Oh, man, what a mess. Ryan says Falcons need to lose. Yes, they do. We are going to keep tracking that as we go through this episode. I don't know how late we'll be on here, but still 9-6. Falcons fall on the Atlanta 49. As we keep chugging along on here. And Ryan says if the rest of the NFC South loses, yeah, that will make us much happier. Justin with the XL has to be benched. I do think it's got to be a case for Carolina to consider that allocation reps. I mean, by all accounts, he's been okay in practice, but you got to start producing in the game. Hands down. Ryan said, I agree. If we brought in a veteran, we would still be bad, but a veteran is not making the mistakes that Bryce is. That's my issue with Bryce, making the little mistakes that ruin the game. Those little mistakes do hurt, man. They really do. A good point by Brad, too, when you talk about Jimmy Horn Jr. and his value, being able to contribute on special teams. And I know he's a contributor when it comes to the return game, but with ETN managing punt return, doesn't leave him much opportunity from that. Tampa Bay Caniac said, I would say the only good thing is is not the only franchise to go through dark eras, and we are in it. But one day we will break out. I hope so. One day we will break out of our misery, or at least that's what I hope. One day we'll get there. All right, folks, let's jump in and take a look. We can get this pulled up. We'll take a look at the box score. I know we kind of went through the highs and lows of the full game. Let's see what we can do here. So take a look at the box score. We'll look at a few other things. And I will get back to the chat in between this as we go through. Let's see, one more question. Steve-O said, when Canales brought Bryce back off the bench last year, he hitched his wagon to Bryce. If he fails with Bryce, Canales is gone too. I don't think so. Bryce Young, I mean, by all accounts, from everything we've heard, I feel like that, I mean, one, the car wreck, that was just, I feel like it was an extra audition where the Carolina Panthers were going to keep Bryce or trade him. They could put out tape, they could put him out there, and then Bryce kind of earned his way back. I think Tepper, I mean, you think back to getting a 6-year contract, having more patience, being more hands-off. Dave Canales just walks in and says, look, Bryce Young's a great quarterback. I've done everything I can with this guy. It's not going to work here in Carolina. I wish him the most success, but for me to be effective, for us to win football games, I want to go get my guy. So that's naturally where why I think Dave Canales, even if Bryce Young just shuts off. Now, I'll flip that back to a point that may back you in a little way, that you also have to think about he is supposed to be here partially, not all the way, but partially the reason he was brought in is to help Bryce Young. And so if you can't work with him, if you can't figure it out, does that fall on you? If you can't get the offense going, does that come back to you? So I do think that there is potential for it to be a sliver in that. A-Dub said, I hate that it took Corbett getting hurt, but Bryce seemed much more comfortable with Cade. Yeah, it happened late. And I, again, don't want to see anybody get hurt on this team or any other team. I want folks to be healthy and available. But yeah, curious. And you think about last year, a lot of the success that Bryce had was during that time when Cade Mays was the center. Is it Bryce or everything around him? Bad O-line play, no real wide receiver help. Yeah, the O-line's been disappointing. It really has. That's why I'm concerned about the injuries that we're going to have coming out of this game and what this team's going to look like next week against the Falcons. Not great at all. All right, let's pull up the box score and go through this a little bit more. We'll shift around. All right. We'll keep it rolling here. Like we said, I mean, on paper, maybe we'll go back to this view. That works. 55 pass attempts for Bryce Young, 328 yards, 6 yards per pass, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 3 times, 47.5 QBR and a 90.6 passer rating. Kyler Murray went through his stat line earlier, 17 to 25, 220 yards, 8.8 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That interception was like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? I see the Falcons 12-6. Hey, come on. We need some JJ magic. Sacked 1 time. We broke down the rushing attack, 49 yards on the ground. That is a concern. Carolina won, allowing some pressure that affected Bryce on some of his pass attempts, but also not being able to establish the run, finishing with 49 yards total. Not a great day. Arizona, again, like I said, 82 yards on the ground. Not a bad day at all by the defense, in my opinion. T-Mac with 100 in his semi-reunion coming back to Arizona, which was pretty cool. He talked about that in the post-game presser. JT Sanders, 7 of 54. Renfrow, 7 for 48, 2 touchdowns. Look at that. Yeah. Bryson Tremaine, 3 for 48. Hubbard, 5 for 39, the 1 touchdown. Tommy, 3 for 20. Rico, 1 for 10. Mitchell Evans, 1 for 9. Trevor, 1 for 2. So he really got 1 for -2. Pretty much kept Arizona in check. to a certain extent. Trey McBride, 6 for 78. I mean, dude's good. Really good tight end. One of the best in the NFC, if not all the NFL. Top 5-ish. Elijah Higgins, 2 for 45. Trey Benson, 4 for 30. Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 for 27. Michael Wilson, 1 for 11. We know Bryce Young had the one fumble. Trayvon Merrick saw him a lot in the box. Had 9 total tackles. Christian Roseboom, a little disappointing. I mean, here's the thing, too. You just think back to what could this team have been if Josie Jewell was healthy and available. I keep going back on that storyline, man. Like, if you knew that Josie Jewell, because Carolina Panthers would have been in contact with him, they would have known throughout this process what his recovery looked like. If you knew he was that bad, why did you not draft? Why did you not bring one in through free agency? Panthers kind of just left that up to, I don't know, not a great opportunity. But anyways, you look at Roseboom, who was going to be a good rotational piece, although I still think he'd be starting over Trevin Wallace, but that's another story. Anyways, not a great performance by him. He did get 7 tackles, though. Pat Jones, good job on some of those rush attempts, but had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. DJ Wonham had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. They both had 2 quarterback hits, 2 pass deflections. I mean, the defensive line was getting it done. Say defensive line, edge rushers, everyone across that defensive front. Derek Brown with 2 pass deflections. Like, you can't undersell the fact Panthers batted the ball down at the line of scrimmage 4 times. Because the only other one was Mike Jackson. Being able to affect it, and I know Kyler's short, but those are their key moments. Like, you think somebody drops back to pass, throw it up, bam, that's a play, gone. You don't have to worry about tackling. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen behind you. DJ Wonham, we talked about him. Lathan Ransom, 4 tackles today. Nick Scott with 3. We got to get down to Princely Umanmielen. How about that? His first sack. I talked about Nick Scorton and his get-off speed last week. I'm curious to see what Princely looks like, but really good sack, a lot of good pressure. Even got held up one time. Solid performance. I still believe the defense did much better. They were put in a bad position. Honestly, gifted 10 points, and you take away the 10, it's 22-17 Panthers. Other thing that we really didn't talk about was the 2-point conversion attempts, which were terrible. But think about if Canales kicks the 2 extra points instead of chasing points, you kick the 2 extra points. I'm just thinking about all the scenarios. When you get the ball down after the onside kick, you just need a field goal to tie. Maybe that changes your mentality. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Jalen Thompson led the way for Arizona with 10 total tackles. Budda Baker with 8. Mac Wilson with 8. They were getting banged up too. That was another part of all this. They were dropping like flies over there, and we still couldn't get things done at the end. But Calais Campbell with 2 sacks. Josh Sweat with 1. Baron Browning had the 1 interception. DJ Wonham with the 1. Like I said, I think it makes you feel a little bit better about the defense, at least for me, based off of the performance. Kicking, Ryan Fitzgerald was 1 for 1 on field goals, 1 for 1 on extra points. Sam Martin had 2 punts, 95 yards. The other thing, it was small. I cannot tell you when and where, but ETN has to catch the punt. Catch the punt. Like, your job is to catch it. Your job is to catch it in a fair catch versus letting that ball bounce and go back 5, 10, 15 yards, whatever it is. That's a lot of yardage to give up, especially in the NFL. So I'd like him to get more comfortable being able to catch the ball. But anyways, that breaks it down. Let's look at the overall team stats, which will kind of speak for themselves. I'm going to try to get this paused.
Some really good works.
There we go. Okay. Otherwise, YouTube's going to try to jump up and copyright. First downs in favor of Carolina, 26-16, 19 of those through the air. A lot of passing, 55 pass attempts. That'll do it for you. First downs from penalties, Panthers got 3. Third down efficiency wasn't great for either team, around 33%, 5 for 15, 3 for 9. Fourth down, Panthers were 3 for 4. And then 1 for 1 for Arizona. Panthers ran 77 plays on offense compared to 48 for the Cardinals. Put up 352 yards to 293, 10 drives to 8, yards per play 4.6 to 6.1. It's very, very basic, but you go back and you think 10 drives. You get 10 drives, 2 of those drives, you just give the other team a chance to score points. I'm repeating myself numerous times, but that's what all this stuff comes point blank. Time of possession in favor of the Panthers, 33 minutes. For the Cardinals, 12 for 96, Panthers 7 for 83. Red zone attempts, Panthers were 3 for 4. Cardinals were 2 for 4. Defense made some plays, had some opportunities, like we said. I did not think it was going to be close. I didn't think the Panthers were going to have a fighting chance at the end of that game. And to see them be able to come around and almost get there, almost doesn't count, but almost be there, man, you just wish it could have been. Let's see if I'll share this over here. Let's see if we got anything else we want to call out from the recap. We already looked at the starting lineup, so I don't think there's anything I want to call out. We looked at the inactives, scoring. I will scroll to, I already looked at the box score, final stat lines. I posted this. We talked through it, but like I said, first half was terrible. Fumble, interception, field goal, punt, into the half. That was it. Really 5 drives. Second half, 3 touchdowns in a row. The turnover on downs. That was really all that there was. Arizona did just enough to squeak by, and guess what? A win is a win. Doesn't matter how ugly that win is. If you can pull it out, you can pull it out. It's much better to be sitting at 1-1 or 2-0 versus 0-2, which is where the Carolina Panthers are right now. Heading into a big game, big home game against the Atlanta Falcons next week. All right, longest plays of the game, the pass to Tetairoa McMillan, 40-yard, longest play for the Panthers. Another pass to Bryce Young for 26. T-Mac again for 22. T-Mac for 20. That's pretty much the norm. The offense, again, showed flashes. Now, a lot of it in the second half, a lot of it in the fourth quarter. You'd love for this team to be able to figure it out earlier. Just show me a little bit of life a little bit sooner. That's all we're asking for. That's it. Let's jump back in. See what we got. Oh, man, you're all taking off. Let's see what we got. Brad says, I think that the Carolina Panthers are not a pass blocking O-line. They're better at run blocking. I do think that partially that's true. Really TBD based off of the lineup that we're going to see. But they did run the ball well last year, and I know there's certain skill sets like Ike Ekwonu. He's a much better run blocker than pass blocker. But overall, I mean, they did pretty well last year, keeping whoever the quarterback was upright. So Owen said nobody's talking about how we ran 4 verticals like 8 times in a row. Yeah, man, I don't understand that either. I mean, we did talk about, I don't know if you were tuned in earlier, we talked about the play calling on that final drive. And I don't know why they were trying to force it. I really don't. To your point, it was a lot of folks downfield really far. Like, why are we trying to pick up 20, 30, 40 yards? At least that's what it felt like. I'm curious to go back and actually see the film, like what was being ran. But you didn't have to do that. You had plenty of time to work your way down the field. Coker is Bryce's most trusted weapon, like Thielen was. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, man. I think T-Mac's going to be up there, though. T-Mac has got it locked in. XL doesn't look like he wants to play. Yeah, body language is a lot. It's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. He's XL stinking it up out there. I don't know what's wrong with him. His self-esteem is down bad. It's the thing, man. You know, he's not a kid, young man, good guy, but for whatever reason, it's just not clicking. So I don't know. Josh says that XL is a bust, and it looks like he doesn't want to be out there. Yeah, kind of tying into that. Man, it's amazing how everyone gets blamed outside of Bryce, like the first quarter never existed. Tepper and Bryce are the problem. Bryce is trash. That's from Mr. Boombastic. There we go. I'll get it right. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, a lot of accountability, I think, for Bryce has to be for that performance. And you can't expect to win based off of Wichita. It's great that he figured it out down the stretch. And I will, like I've said, two things can be true. Bryce Young played well when the pressure wasn't really there, which we've seen. Also, when the pressure was on him earlier, maybe there's a chance for the offensive line to do a little bit better, but he has to protect the football, especially when you are going down. It's better in a lot of instances to take a sack, secure the ball, and it's just like, man, what are we watching? It feels like a cycle of the same thing. Can't handle the fact they brought in T-Mac and I'm guessing you're talking about XL. Yeah, I don't think I will say there's a lot of competition there. Like, I think they ride it out, like I said, unless there's something crazy, some type of trade scenario. But next camp, I don't want to talk about it way too early. There's going to be a lot of pressure. No more guarantees for him to be around here. Brad said he heard Austin Corbett was crying after he got hurt. I saw a statement in the post game, and it was either Person or K, or maybe even David Newton, that he mentioned being able to stand, that they think it's a knee, but he also mentioned that when he tore his ACL, he was able to. So yeah, it's tough, man. Mr. Boombastic says, if Bryce was my quarterback, I'd have low self-esteem too. I wouldn't want to play with a no-arm quarterback. So here's the thing, and this is actually a good point too, not the self-esteem, but the arm strength. So I can't say what was happening, but there were numerous plays, and I don't know if it was being in the pocket that he couldn't extend. I don't know if it was like what the dynamic was, but there were quite a few throws where he short-armed it. And I know something like, I think one of them he might have got hit, which I get it. You get hit, the ball's not going to go. But there were instances on balls, and I know XL being targeted for one of them, where he short arms it and the ball just doesn't make it there. And I don't know if he's not able to drive into his throw, but I know people do like to talk about his arm strength as a thing. So, yeah, it was wild to see. All right, I think what we can do to close out this episode, or at least we're going to try this, is see if we can play the press conference. We're trying something new. We're going to see if we can play the presser from today from Canales. I will tell you, it's a little hard to hear the questions that are being asked, but we can likely kind of infer as we go through this. I think I'll play the Dave Canales one, and then let's try to make this work. We'll play Dave Canales, possibly Bryce, and then we'll close it out for tonight. Let's see if we can switch over here. We're going to share. All right, let's run it, see what we got going on.
We got to eliminate the mistakes. 2 weeks in a row, early self-inflicted wounds, and 10 points just like that, going to the half 20-3, and we got to change our mode, and we're not able to play the complementary football that we're looking for, to be able to mix the runs, the play actions, turn it into a drop back game. I love our guys. I love that we battled all the way to the end.
I was gonna say we mentioned this, but yes, it drop back game hands down. Once you get down that big pass, prevent defense, that's exactly what we saw.
Nobody quit. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. As we started to close the game, we have to be able to find a way to play that kind of football early on so we can see what we have. I believe in this group. I'm excited about this group and the players we have out there, but it's the mistakes. And I have to take full responsibility of that first and foremost for preparing our guys. And we got to get right back to work.
Also, I get the optimism, being excited about this group and guys, but you're eventually going to just run out. You're going to run out of time naturally. You can like them as much as you want, hope that it pans out, but until you start winning and producing on the field, it's just going to be the same story every single week. This part, it's hard to hear the questions, but we can still listen to his response.
It's the turnovers. I think it's just, when you give the other, and I got to give them credit. I got to give the Cardinals credit for coming out and playing hard, really forcing the issue on some of those, and they had a good pressure plan. We were on our assignments, but we didn't execute the assignments. And Bryce is in those situations, and sometimes it ain't the worst thing if you're in that situation and take a sack. I also know he makes some magical.
I like that. It's almost like what is it? A compliment sandwich, though. He quickly pivots from wanting to scrutinize Bryce and emphasize where he could get better, taking the sack, and quickly pivots and say, well, you know what? He actually does really well when he does get out of the pocket and makes plays happen, which is true. But at the same time, you also recognize that some mistakes are continuing to happen. It's becoming more of a trend.
Plays. I also know that he does find ways to find guys down the field, and that's part of his game. But it's all of us. It's the mistakes that we have to continue to clean up. Yeah. Honestly, I got to look at
that piece was talking through recognizing the blitz when it comes to the pressure. So that was a piece that I did get to hear that part.
To be able to tell you more specifically. But the bottom line is there's an element of time. And when teams are going to pressure you, you have an element of time. It's not going to be the cleanest pocket and all that, but you have an element of time. And we just have to make sure that we function as a group, in those situations. I don't. I think the emphasis was there. That's something that we'll continue to just, hammer, and we'll continue to just attack that as a group, and look at those things and keep pushing for improvement. I mean, I know what this group is. I know that we'll finish. I know that we had a bunch of tough guys, high character guys, that'll continue to play football, and that'll give us a chance. And I have to commend our guys for continuing to battle, to find opportunities and find wins, and
I just wish we could battle and then we could show who we are prior to making mistakes. The very beginning of a football game. That's all I'm asking. That is all.
And, that's the nature of this group. I'm proud of that part, but there's no moral victories like we talk about. We have to be able to play good football from snap one until the end. No.
Sounds like there was a question about a quarterback change, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Asked by David Newton.
That's what I saw too. But again, they're officiating this thing live. I have a lot of respect for the officials, and we have to go with the call that they made. I could not have challenged that one, but we ended up using a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff in that situation. So. Yeah. I thought they responded by just going back and playing good football, and the Cardinals got to give them credit. They still found ways to make plays, and and Kyler breaks out there. We had a really good rush plan on that one, and he got out of it and made a big play, a critical play in the game. So I got to give them
call out Roseboom, call out the players. That's all we were asking for. Said that Christian Roseboom had a prime opportunity to make a play. That's all we want, man. There's got to be a little bit, just a sliver of accountability among some of these things.
Give them credit also for finishing their drives, and getting those touchdowns. A fantastic 2-minute drive, before the half, a couple of big plays, and then with 9 seconds making a play in the back of the end zone. So I got to give those guys a ton of credit for just continuing to play football and attack us, But our defense settled in, gave us a big 3 and out, and all of a sudden we're knocking on the door with a chance to win.
It's been a long time since it's held anybody to that kind of number.
Yeah.
What were they able to do this week to show that area?
Yeah, it was what we talked about, it was the discipline and trust with each other, of fitting off each other, playing with the energy that they need to. And it was a really disciplined approach, to the run game today. So saw a lot of great improvement there. The guys, it matters to them, and they took a lot of pride in that. But again, the defensive guys will be up here, and they'll be the first ones to tell you, there's a handful of plays that we got to be sharper on with our communication and all that.
Maybe I sense a little disappointment in the boys. What's going on?
I think it's just the frustration of what I feel like we have, the group that we've assembled here, and to see glimpses of it, and to not see the consistency. And I know that we'll get there with hard work, but they got to be studs about it. We all have to be studs about it as a staff and as players as well, that we are going to have to be disciplined about our approach. We had a great week of practice. The focus was there. The intensity's there. We cannot back off of that. That's our standard. That's the standard of work. And we have to be studs about how we go back to work.
Be studs.
I thought the Cardinals did a good job of having a plan. Once, T-Mac made a couple of plays, they started to do some things coverage-wise to try to, minimize what he was doing on that side. And Bryce did a good job finding his other progressions and different concepts. Good job evaluating it pre-snap, kind of knowing where he was going with the ball. Now that's, once they do that, the other guys have to continue to make their plays and show up.
Excel needs to make a play. How about that?
Keep playing football. That's what we're here to do. Let's finish. Let's play our brand of football, regardless of what the score says. That was kind of the approach of the whole team. Came out of the locker room, and they were focused and they were ready to play ball, and gave ourselves a chance. Yeah. We'll give you more information in the morning as we look at it. It's a bicep for Robin. It's a knee for Corbs, and we'll have to just see what that is. We have to just do all the full workup right now. Absolutely. It's like, if you're just looking, I know there's more to it than just going turnover for turnover to kind of even out the game, but that is how things balance out. And that was such a great play by him, a great rush to force the quarterback to throw off of his back foot, and really securing that ball right there, which did give us a chance. I have no idea. I just know we were going to try every possible thing we could. We had a bunch of, nice plays that we practiced and know offensively, defensively. It was our core calls, to execute, which they did a good job of at the end and gave us a chance. Honestly, just don't pass judgment on the outcome of the game ever. Just continue to play football, regardless of what happens early on, regardless of what happens.
Well, we got to pass a little judgment. 0-2 is 0-2, but
happens in the middle of it.
Be all right.
You don't get to pass judgment on what the outcome of the game is going to be, because you just have to keep playing ball. And if you do right longer than the opponent, you give yourselves a chance to finish. And that's our definition.
I guess in his reference to in the moment, that you can't assume that you're going to lose because you're down too much. So that makes sense.
And that's what I saw from the group, was a group that continued to do right throughout the course of the game, fixing the things that we talked about early on, and finding execution. All right. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Hopefully don't want to pause. I'm going to switch to one thing that I was just curious of what this would look like, and we'll get to the comments, close this out. So the win probability meter through ESPN, number one coming into this, Cardinals were about 63%, 64% favorite win probability. As you can see, as the game goes along, it kept dropping down further and further, 95%, 2%, 1%. Just knowing how unlikely this was to go through just hurts even more as a Panthers fan, because at one point in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go, it is 27-9. 27-9. 0.4% chance to win. I mean, unreal. For them to just have that, and I think it even got down, 0.3% chance. And then it ticked back up to about 30% once we got into the 1st and 10. Man. Anyways, let's get back over here and close out today's episode with the final comments. I'm going to make this hopefully full screen. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's check what we got going on. All righty, folks. It is tough. Let's see. Check on the final few comments here. Merritt says, how long or short is the leash on Canales? Of course, I am not intertwined with the team or league sources to know whether or not he's got a short or long leash, but in the earlier part of the episode, I still think he's got this season, and I do think he makes it through this season and even into next season. But there's a big cap. I think he does have to show some significant improvement, and that this approach is going to work and that they're going to start putting it together. But it's wild. Julian. Oh my God. Got wild comments coming in, but Julian said, let's go Cardinals. What did Merritt say to close this out? Hey, good win, though. Good win to the Cardinals, man. It was. Merritt says, contract is fine, but terms unavailable. There's always an out. There is. I just don't know, is David Tepper, if he's going to want to shell out all the money that you have to pay. I mean, I know his pockets are deep. It's probably chump change for him, but man, just having to pay all these buyouts for coaches, I don't know. I still believe that he's probably Canales, could be proven wrong, but I think he's here at least for this year. And then next year's where the heat ticks up a little bit. That's just what I think right now. And the last one, as we close out, unless someone else drops one in, but Bryce can't turn the ball over, right? Great, solid performance at the end, but unfortunately, when you dig the hole, it's hard to get out. That's what we saw from the Carolina Panthers. So, anyways, folks, appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, this is Carolina Dad. You can get the podcast out on, oh my gosh, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. It's late on the East Coast. I hope y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week. We'll see you during the week with more content as we get prepared for the Falcons. Hopefully the Falcons find a way to lose. But until then, I will see you.